ユージ
What's up?
ここ、なんで、どうして
The train took us 3 stops into the mountains before reaching its final stop. As soon as we disembark, Yumiko's expression transforms into one of pure bewilderment. With one step past the ticket gate, a sea of vivid electric decorations opens up theatrically before our eyes. It's an amusement park, if you hadn't figured that out for yourself.
わかってるわよ。なんでこんないきなり
It's the polar opposite of the colorless fugitive life we've been trapped in for so long. Must feel like I've carried her into a dream. It'd be stranger if she wasn't taken aback. That's exactly it. Our pursuers will never suspect the two of us might be playing around in here like we don't have a care in the world.
でもだからってそんな
Bringing my mouth close to Yumiko's ear, I speak in an artificially stern tone of voice. Listen, Yumiko. This is a crucial part of our escape strategy. Forget the questions for now. I need you to act like you're having fun.
そうなの
Yeah. It might well invite suspicion unless we're sincerely enjoying ourselves. Make it look convincing, alright?
わかったわ
As Yumiko nods a little dubiously, I slap her gently on the shoulder and shift to a louder, cheerful voice. Have to start with the roller coaster, am I right?
嘘いきなりそんな強敵から
Powerful enemy, she says. I don't think amusement park rides really have power levels, but apparently, Yumiko's worked out a firm internal ranking.
そういうのって普通もっとこなれてきたから乗るものじゃなくてまずは緩いものから始めていくんじゃ
It's all good. If we start off with a real thrill, everything after will seem easier by comparison, right?
でも
No buts. Come on, let's go. Firmly seizing Yumiko's hand, I drag her over to the roller coaster line by force. In a mostly empty amusement park soon to be closed for the night, the sound of our rapid footsteps echo through the air.
さあ今度はあれに乗るわよ
Maybe we should at least catch our breath first? Understandably enough, Yumiko had been hesitant at first, but after 2 or 3 rides, that faded away completely. By now, she's the one pulling me around.
次は何乗ろうかしらユージは何がいい
Me. I'd like to ride that bench in the rest area for a while.
急流ウォータースライダーに乗りましょうよねえそれでいい
People have often told me that my listening skills need work, but it seems I'm not the only one.
いいから行きましょうほら
Hey, don't yank me around like that. Smiling wryly, I let Yumiko pull me back into a run.
ユージはカートの運転は得意
Never been in one before, but, well, I imagine it won't be a problem. Not quite the same thing, but I've got experience driving up to 300 kilometers per hour. But it's probably best to keep that thought to myself. No point reminding the girl of the past. In any case, handling this sort of vehicle is actually something of a specialty of mine. You want to have a go?
あんまり女の子らしくないけど笑わない
A little late to worry about that now, after the way you flipped out on that thrill ride. Ow! Yumiko pokes me sharply in the flank.
失礼ねそんなに嬉しそうにはしてないわよ多分
This coming from the girl who cackled with glee as the coaster went to a nearly straight vertical drop? Well, whatever. Let's give it a shot. I'm looking forward to seeing you drive.
私ハンドルを持つと人が変わるのよ
Seriously?
冗談よというよりゲームを含めてやったことないもの
This inspires a moment of relief, but soon, I recalled the distressing example of a certain monstrous speed demon named Suo Amane. Indeed, there's no telling how taking hold of the steering wheel will change a person. A vision of Yumiko merrily smashing around the track, shrieking, "Ah ha 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 ha! This feels so good! I want more, Yuji!" flashes before my eyes. I think I'll have to keep a very careful eye on how things develop out there.
どうしたの突然難しい顔をして
Ah, it's nothing. I was just reflecting on the countless possibilities lying dormant inside the human soul.
はあもうあらかた乗り尽くしたわね
Well, Well, yeah. Since we went from one end of the park to the other, riding literally everything we saw.
ユージが意外と回転系の遊具に弱いことが分かって面白かったわ。
Yumiko looks over at me with a smirk on her face. So Sumi, I'm just not a fan of that coffee cup thing.
明らかに不機嫌そうだったものね。今度からユージが何か悪いことをしたら椅子に座らせて回転させる罰を与えるわ。
Spare me the practical applications, please. It's good that Yumiko seems to be enjoying herself, but the last thing I need is the girl developing some weird little superiority complex. I think some retaliation may be in order. Yumiko, how about this next?
まだ乗っていないのが。
The instant Yumiko peers down to the pamphlet in my hands, her face stiffens like water freezing to ice. What's wrong? Where is that energy and enthusiasm gone all of a sudden, Sakaki Yumiko?
そんなとこだけフルネームで呼ばないでよ。ねえ、ここはいいから他のとこにしましょう。ね。
Yumiko looks up at me with pleading eyes. Meeting her gaze with a deliberately kind expression, I answer flatly and decisively. Not happening.
嘘。
It's your punishment for mocking me about that spinning ride. Only fair that we have you face up to your weakness as well, right? I make my way to a building tucked into the dense forest on the edge of the amusement park, forcibly pulling a resisting Yumiko along behind me. A building marked Spine-Chilling Hall of Horrors.
いや、ユージのバカ、意地悪。私がこういうの苦手だって知ってた。いや。
Well, well. I wasn't expecting much from a mere amusement park attraction, but that was truly an engrossing experience. That wax figure that popped out halfway through was particularly well made. The way his brains burst out all over the place was quite realistic, don't you think? Oh, and the master of the hall. I saw the decapitation coming, but I wasn't expecting his severed bloody head to come flying in our direction. Guess it's worth giving that sort of place a try every once in a while, eh? Yumiko? What's wrong? You haven't been saying much, and that pale face of yours is getting whiter. Did you catch a cold or something? You did seem even more frightened than I expected. Yumiko only shrieked and screamed like a normal girl for the first 5 minutes or so. After that, the terror must have overloaded her brain. No matter what came after us, she just quivered violently at my side, her face frozen in an expressionless mask. You really are totally helpless against that sort of stuff, huh? My bad.
知ってて連れて行ったくせに、そういうド S なところユージにはあるわよね。
Can't deny that.
夜だってやめてって言ってるのにすごいこと。
You say something?
なんでもない。ほら、今度は怖いのじゃなくて、もっと面白そうなのに行きましょう。ね。
Her pallid face abruptly blooming red, Yumiko pulls me firmly along by the hand in a clear attempt at changing the subject. さすがにちょっと疲れたわね。Yeah, same here. We finished visiting nearly all the attractions the park has to offer. Yumiko glows with obvious satisfaction, but there's a hint of fatigue in her eyes as well. Of course, considering the long and stormy day we've just had, I suppose it's only natural for her to be a little worn out. Why don't we finish up by riding the Ferris wheel, or, Yumiko? As I'm suggesting we conclude our visit with that venerable amusement park staple, I notice that Yumiko is looking off in a completely different direction. Is there someone behind me? No, doesn't seem like it. She's been shooting glances over at one fixed point in particular. Subtly, careful not to let Yumiko notice, I follow the line of her gaze. Wait, does Yumiko seriously want to? What I find there surprises me. It's an attraction, somewhat out of sync with Yumiko's image. Of course, an amusement park isn't the sort of place you'd expect to find Yumiko to begin with, but even in that context, this ride stand out as an S rank mismatch. Hey, Yumiko.
何ユージ
Do you, want to ride in that thing? I point in the direction Yumiko was just looking and gingerly ask the obvious question. Instantly, in a replay of the previous conversation, her pale face lights up with a violent blush.
何言ってるのよなんで私があんな小さい女の子が乗るようなものに
Well, you've been running around like a little girl the whole time we've been here, haven't you?
バカにした今はっきりと私をバカにしたわね
In that case, you want to just skip it and leave? Guess that's decided then. You're so easy to understand. Getting up off the bench, I take Yumiko by the hand and pull her to her feet. Let's make that the grand finale then.
だからユージ
Before long, the two of us have climbed onto the ride Yumiko had her eye on. The park shutting down for the night very soon. There aren't any other visitors to be seen.
ちょっとやだ恥ずかしいわよこんな
But nonetheless, the girl looks around the area nervously, self-conscious, despite the complete lack of spectators. What's the problem? Nobody's around? Might as well throw your pride to the wind and regress to childhood.
いきなり言われてはいそうですかって戻れないでしょ
Ignoring Yumiko's protests, the merry-go-round creaks to life and begins to spin. A vast array of cheap-looking electric decorations and lights begin to blink cheerfully on and off, and an upbeat tune that feels vaguely familiar plays from the speakers overhead.
こんな子供騙しなものに
Halfway through the sentence, Yumiko falters. The carousel horse slowly rises and falls underneath us. The scene before our eyes transforms again and again. A brilliant green gradient fades into a sky of impossible indigo blue, forming an artificial stage in the midst of the darkness. White lights above merge into one continuous line, illuminating the spectacle. As the soothing, strangely nostalgic sounds and lights wash over us, the tone of Yumiko's voice gradually begins to change.
子供騙しのものに
What's wrong? I can hear the girl faintly breathe in. And then, in a voice just barely audible over the garish music, she continues.
すごく乗りたかったこうやって大好きな人とね
Every time we move up and down, the metal fixtures supporting our horse creak audibly. With every clunking repetition, Yumiko's body shakes a little in my arms. And it's not just because the horse is worn out.
母の実家にいた頃はね最初とても不思議だったのよ
Yumiko shared her memories of those early days with me before. How at first, she grew up assuming herself to be a normal child. How she slowly came to realize she was different. The beginning of her isolation.
休みの日になると海の方にある遊園地や浜辺にお父さんやお母さんと一緒にみんな出かけていく自分だけ一人で家の庭で土の上に絵を描いているお母さんは病院にいるお父さんは遠いところにいるおじいちゃんもおばあちゃんも私がまるでいないかのように振る舞うそれでやっと気づいたの
And the quivering of her body grows noticeably stronger against my hands.
私は生まれてきてはいけなかったんだっていてはいけない子だったんだって誰とも一緒にいちゃいけないんだって
Yumiko's sentence shudders to a halt. Her shoulders heave with silent sobs. The girl's been making an effort not to cry in front of me. Even when she was crushed by her own failures, she did her absolute best not to break down. Even now, she keeps her back turned, refusing to let me see the tears. How many times has Yumiko cried like this? Her face hidden from the world. Abandoned, rejected, betrayed. Hacking at her hair with a box cutter. Hiding in her room. At all the times it hurt most, the girl's been on her own.
だからこうやってユウジと一緒に遊んだことが今日は本当に嬉しかったの。
Yumiko,
嬉しかったの。本当に嬉しかったの。
artificial stars rotate before our eyes. The light merges together into one long multicolored stripe, dancing up then down, left then right. Red and white and yellow and blue extend all around us, spinning in time to the cheerful, simple music.
ユウジ、本当は作戦なんて嘘だったんでしょ。私のためを思ってここに連れてきてくれたんでしょ。
I never tell lies. Don't you know that by now?
ユウジは優しいもの。私にいっぱいたくさん優しく嘘をついてきたもの。
Ridiculous slander.
本当は辛いのに何でもないってずっと言い続けて、私が気にするからってずっと隠して。ユウジにもっとわがままを言ってほしかった。でも言わせてあげられなかったのが本当に悲しかった。
Yumiko hesitates, choosing her next words carefully. I know what's coming next. It's nothing I want to hear. A phrase we've tried to make taboo.
ごめんね、ユウジ。
It must have been on the tip of her tongue so many times these last few months. The miserable apology that finally spills out of Yumiko's mouth is a quiet, frail thing, but it's still enough to pierce me to the core.
あなたが抱えている辛さや悲しさをもっと一緒に分かち合いたかった。気遣われるだけじゃなくて気遣いたかった。でも何一つできなくてごめんね。私がごめんね。
Yumiko. Calling her by her name, I stroke her cheek with one hand. As if her own pain wasn't enough, she wants to take on the darkness inside me. She's trying to load down her slender body with a weight it can't possibly bear. And this from a girl too weak even to support herself. I have something I wanted to say to you as well, Yumiko. I draw the arm I've wrapped around Yumiko closer to me. Pressing her body firmly to mine, I speak the words clearly into her ear. I'm really glad you were born. Thank you. I've never had anyone care about me this much. Everything I did before I met you felt hollow. I always ended up alone. With my master gone, I didn't even know why I was even bothering to keep on breathing. Continuing to work for my country, I tried to find the meaning of the words she had left me at the end. They were all I had left. I still haven't unraveled that mystery, but now that I'm with Yumiko, I think I'm beginning to glimpse some small fragment of the answer. At the very least, your birth had meaning for me. So let me say this one more time. Don't apologize. I'm grateful to you. I embrace her even more strongly than before. Above the swaying carousel horse, Yumiko's body begins to tremble once again. A warm drop of water falls on the hand I've wrapped around her, then another. Pretending not to notice, I gently stroke her hair.
あなたはどうしてそう優しいの？
I'm not kind, just full of myself. I do what I want.
やっぱり優しいわよ。だってそんなこと言われたら私もう何も言い返すことなんてないわ。
Her hand reaches back to grasp the sleeve of my shirt.
当にあなたは優しくて勝手なんだから。
Sorry. It's my nature. It takes some time for Yumiko's trembling to die down. The park outside is already sinking into darkness. As I watch, the lights and the other attractions wink out in ones and twos. By the way, there was one other reason I brought you here.
もう一つ。
Sounds like she's forgotten. Because I promised.
約束。
As my words jog her memory, Yumiko's voice takes on a note of surprise. You told me you wanted to visit one of these, remember? I know the timing's a little crazy, but... Tears welling up in the corner of her eyes. She looks back at me and smiles.
嬉しい。覚えていてくれたのね。
Come on. No way I'd forget something like that. The music playing from the tinny, poorly maintained speakers above us is repeated, interrupted by bursts of static. That jarring noise periodically cuts our conversation apart. The cheap dream world creaks and groans around us. It's not exactly the sort of illusion you can just lose yourself in. But none of that really matters. I've found a woman who can love a piece of trash like me from the bottom of her heart. That's enough to make this place an impossible paradise. Eventually, the last attractions go dark, and our little fantasy world fades away with the sigh of a motor. I sit on our horse with my arms around Yumiko, quietly speaking her name again and again, as if to remind her that she's here, that this is real. And in response, she whispers Yuji many, many times. In a forest so dark it's impossible to tell where the trees end and the sky begins, our train winds its way down to civilization. Little by little, the small lights of carriage windows come into view in the station below, where we transferred only a few hours ago. As much as we want to deny it, those lights force us to realize that our time in our dream world is over. Down there, inescapable reality is waiting for us. It's already past 10. They've had hours to follow our trail. Once we transfer to the train that'll carry us away from here, we won't be able to turn back. At my side, Yumiko quietly gazes at the back of the seat in front of her. Her eyes aren't hollow and lifeless as they were before, but from the tightly clenched fist resting on the seat by her thigh, I can see that she's still uneasy. I lower my hand from her shoulder to cover that small fist. After a few gentle strokes, she lets her hand fall open, then turns it to squeeze mine in return.
どこへ向かうの？
The question's tinged with a little anxiety. We'll take a detour to the north, then head east. From there, we'll change to a different private railway and head further north.
北へ？
Yeah, there are some decently populated towns along the coastal railway where we shouldn't stand out too much. Hide people among people, still following that basic principle. I've decided on a slightly more distant destination. However, unless the fundamental dynamics of the situation change, our fugitive lifestyle isn't going to end. From what JB's told me, the East Beach Group has some delicate circumstances at the moment. But if that changes, they might go public with this search. The police will get involved. Ichigaya will move in earnest. Even the media will start working against us. At that point, there probably won't be any safe place left for us. We're still two isolated individuals struggling against an incomparably stronger opponent.
逃げるしかないのね。
There's no doubt Yumiko feels the same apprehension. The tone of her voice is low, resigned. Gazing at her slightly downcast face, I finally make up my mind to ask. Actually, Yumiko, I have a question for you. She turns to look at me, staring straight into her eyes. I continue. Do you want to confront your father? If you've got the will, I might have a way. I've been slowly making preparations ever since we ran away.
私が？
That's right. We can also run away, if that's what you want. If we confront him and lose, we'll be torn apart. But there's risk either way. Yumiko listens to my words quietly and attentively. But as I continue, her gaze slips from mine and begins to fall downward. By the time I finish speaking, she's staring straight at her feet.
私には選べないわ。
After a brief pause, she answers in a voice bitter with self-derision.
私は何も成長できていないもの。アパートから逃げ出した時だって自分から電話をかけてしまった。
And once again, her voice begins to quaver as she struggles again to hold down the tears.
寮から連れ去られた私をユウジが助けに来てくれた時、私はユウジを信じようって思った。だからあなたから伸ばされた手を握ったわ。でも最後の最後のところであなたを信じることができなかった。そんな私にユウジと共に何かできることなんてありえないわ。
I shake my head to deny her words. You're wrong, Yumiko. You've changed. There's no doubt about it. Yes, you tried to make that phone call, but you hung up before he answered, didn't you?
それはそうだけど、でも結果としてその行為のせいであの人たちに見つかることになってしまって。
Hindsight is 2020. I'm talking about what you were thinking, Yumiko.
私
Yeah. I remember the day when Yumiko dismissed me. The day she tried to leave my life forever. Refusing to acknowledge her own will, unable to rely on me, she tried to disappear all on her own. That Yumiko would have made the phone call. She would have told her father everything, believing all the while that she was doing me a favor. You pulled yourself back from the edge. You fought down the fear and held on to your own free will. And I'm going to stay with you, no matter what kind of ending we've got waiting for us.
ユウジ
Yumiko throws herself against my chest, her body slender and light as always. But today, I can feel a strength in her that wasn't there before. Slowly, face buried against my shirt, she gathers her breath. I just sit there, letting her respiration warm my skin, enjoying the affectionate movements of her fingers against my back. And finally,
答えが出たわ。
Yumiko pulls away and meets my gaze. That's a coincidence. Same here. Simultaneously, our faces break into smiles. There's no hint of strain or awkwardness. They're probably the most easy, natural smiles we've had on our faces in a long time. And again, in Yumiko's eyes, I see something like determination. Resignation might still be a part of it. But that strength I glimpsed in her is real. I absolutely believe that now.
一緒に言いましょうか。
Sounds good. Our eyes fixed on each other, we open our mouths to speak. For a long time, our feelings for each other kept us at cross purposes. But now, finally, we're standing together, facing the same moment, seeing the same future, seeing the road we'll travel. Hey everyone, J Square John Jeremy here. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to click on subscribe and the bell icon to ensure you're kept up to date on the channel. Until next time, so long and take care.